think this is going to work. Hoping everybody can see. This is kind of my meditation workspace, at least for a little while. This is where I go. I'm actually using this wall. I'm getting comfortable. I got the comfier mat on. I do find that a little bit of thickness, it doesn't need to be a yoga mat, really does help with the back alignment and just the comfortable position. So generally, this is the meditation that I do. It's the Itzhak Bentov meditation is what I call it. It's really based on Itzhak Bentov, obviously, who never really had a chance to develop this meditation. He always spoke about it, and so just kind of took some of his wording and kind of made this really mindfulness meditation from it. And really, I've been doing this for hundreds, if not over thousands of hours now at this point. And it really has been giving me some really good insight gains, just enlightenment. And I'm going to give you a perfect example of that. My morning one, and this is basically what my morning one is, it gives me a time for myself and my mind to be clear, positive, open-hearted, and give it that good mindset for the day. So the morning one's really important for that. The middle of the day is a little bit of a break from the stress and the strain. It's a chance to get back to myself. And then the third one I generally do in the evening is one really about self-reflection of the day, things that I've learned, things that I'm trying to get better as a human, some reflection time. So those are really kind of the three small meditations that I do. Now these aren't lengthy ones. The morning one goes something like this. I come in, I get my, I get kind of comfortable, get set up, get some comfy clothes on, I'll come in here. Once I'm kind of set up, and that's what we call grounding, that's step number one. At that point, I'm just kind of stretching. I'm just kind of, I want to make sure there's no tension in my neck. I'm kind of doing just some small rotations. It's early, so I might still be a little bit stiff. I consistently use this kind of back wall here to help hold some good posture for the spine. I'm really trying to affix what I call, what many call the Kundalini, and it's kind of a double helix structure that goes from like the pelvis up to the base of the neck. And it's really when I'm doing some of my meditation, where, as well as many other meditations, this is where we focus kind of a lot the energy, the calmness. So here in step 2, I'm going to start getting my breath work in. And how I do breath work, it goes something like this. I'm generally sitting down, so I've been moving around and whatever, so I need to give myself a second for my mind to calm down, my brain, my heart, all that, just to give it a second. And after I wait a few seconds, I'll start really getting into breath work. And for me, for this specific meditation, the Bentov meditation, what we do is roughly 5 seconds, 6 seconds in, a slight hold, and then we're exhaling. Ever so slight on the hold. You don't even really need to hold. I just do that. So it looks like something like this. And when we exhale, we really want to exhale really out further. Trying to inhale through the nose and out through the mouth. And in fact, a lot of times I'll just do this with my nose alone in a very subtle position, and not need to bring the mouth into this, because this is a relaxation one that gets deeper into that 7 hertz heart brain phase, theta, that kind of stuff. So your breathing at that point is really going to be, it's not going to need to be very laborious to where you need to exhale with your breath work. So just again, this is what I do. This is step number 2 for my breath work. And this is one that I do for a lot of my meditations for mindfulness when I'm practicing that. For this Itzhak Bentov meditation, it's absolutely crucial. It looks something like this. And sometimes I will use my hand over my stomach like this. I did that earlier on when I was newer. It helps to remind me to breathe with the stomach and the diaphragm down here. And the thumb, I kind of rest on my heart, because it kind of reminds me that this is about trying to slow down, get your heart down to a good rhythm. And it does. You can feel it after a while. Maybe your heart's going pretty good, and then you can start going slower. And it's a gauge for me. And as a scientist, I'm always reaching out for some sort of gauges that I'm on the right path. And so I use these micro, oscillations and vibrations and their pace to kind of calculate that. And Itzhak Bentov, I believe, would be all about that too. So, like I said, this is my interpretation of it. He did not have a chance to develop this fully before he had passed away. His plane crashed at a very early age, and he was not able to ever release any good meditations. I definitely think he would have released something. He was a big believer about that. And so step 2, we get our breath work in. After I do this for a little while, and I'm really getting those exhales extra long out, so it's going like this. I do that for a while. After a while, things just start slowing down. My heart, my brain, my thoughts. I do practice what a lot of people would refer to as mindfulness. I see thoughts come in, you're thinking about something, maybe it's the weekend, work, whatever's going on, and one way that we can kind of control that is through kind of the technique of mindfulness. For me, it's a little bit different. I'm able to recognize and control my thoughts, and the fact that I see them coming in, and I say, you know what, I'll deal with you here in a little while, I'm doing something right now. That's kind of it in a nutshell. I can go into a further video about helping to kind of control your thoughts. Mindfulness is a great way of doing that. Tom Campbell had a great way of using Tom's Park or imagination to get that coherence on the hemi-sync and that kind of stuff. For me, it's just getting the breath work down, positive thinking, open-minded. Bentov was more about oscillation, vibration, he being an antenna. You yourself is an instrument creating a tone in the universe, in consciousness, and consciousness is it's receiving that and sending things back to you through that. So that's what I've got for today. Breath work, get your grounding in, get your spot set up, be consistent. A lot of people try this for a day or two and say this doesn't work. Well, for like a lot of things, it takes a while for the brain and the heart to really get on board with this. Now when I do meditation, my brain and body know what I'm about to do, and they actually look forward to it. It's kind of like, a relaxing time. It's like, all right, cool. It's kind of like taking a nap, but it isn't a nap. That's the best way. And that just leads me to another thing that definitely is a pro tip. Get some good sleep. Start taking care of yourself. Don't stay up scrolling. Try to get some good sleep. Take care of yourself. It's really the only way if you want to see big gains in your enlightenment, in yourself, in your daily life. Get good sleep. Try to lay off the caffeine. When you get good sleep and you come in here and you do a good meditation, and you get really, serious about it, if you're too tired and you start dozing off, and you're not really going to see the gains of the meditation. And that's why meditation specifically can be so difficult for a lot of people. It does require something of you. It's a gift. There's a power there, and you need to be disciplined in yourself to achieve that. That's basically what I've got. We can definitely talk about that on another time, but Getting my breath work in naturally kind of aligns, goes for step 3, and that's the heart and brain coherence. That's really where your heart and your brain are just slowly starting to talk to each other. You know, good things are happening, you're relaxing, you're focusing your energy. 4 would be hemisync. That's where the right brain and the left brain are kind of slowly starting to talk to each other. And like I said, I mentioned a couple ways of doing that. Tom's Park, imagination. You know, I have a way of just staying positive, open-minded, like an antenna. I feel that's the route Bentov. Noticing your oscillations, your micro vibrations, your blood pulsing, your heart beating, your brain fields. Just knowing that that is there, and you're creating that vibration, and you're creating an instrumental sound. I guess is the best way I can explain that. At least for me, that's where some of it began. You know, once you get that hemisync down, your step 4, um, you can really start talking about awakening that inner eye. As a lot of people like to see it. Out of body experiences, a lot of people discuss that. For me, it's something different. I never saw anything. I'm much more like a scientist, trying to read something, trying to get things out of it. And when I do it enough, and now that I'm at this level as a scientist and I'm listening and I'm trying to take micro measurements, even if I don't have any way to measurement, we can use things like estimation, calculation, small ways of using things like, is this working? Is this successful? Is this reliable? Is this something in the long term that's holding up? Those are questions that I've asked myself over this last 6 months doing this, and I have to say it really has been enlightening. I don't think I would be where I'm at if I hadn't practiced this before and got really into it. And I think meditation is the new hype. You know, I've been saying that for a while. I think 2026 is the next year for a lot of people. I think they're going to find a lot of ways to enlighten yourself, and just be a better person. This has nothing to do with prayer, where you came from. Doesn't matter what you know or how smart you are, how much money you have. It has a lot to do with your mindset and how you carry yourself. And those are big values that I think a lot of people can learn and love and respect. So I want to take this video. I always like going live with the Itzhak Bentov meditation. This is one that I do every day, up to 3 times a day, and been doing it for a long time. And I do truly believe in it. You know, I don't get paid to come on here and say this and do this. This is out of my heart, my love for human beings. I always try to do a positive vibe session, let you know this is not going to be such a strict thing. I see a lot of people on their channels, and they're doing yoga and they're doing stuff, and they're super strict, and they're like, man, there's nobody's going to want to do that. You know, it's hard enough to talk people into trying to do meditation or trying something new for the first time, and then you go and make it more difficult. And so when I was trying to write this, I was like, man, I'd like to reach out just to at least one person, you know, a week or a month or a year, whatever it kind of takes to reach out to one person and kind of get them just to start thinking about it. Maybe they were, because that's kind of how it was for me. I never thought about meditation. 40 years of my life, never really got into it, never thought about it. As a scientist, it was gray area, which I wasn't even interested in. And then I had my illness. I had post-acute withdrawal syndrome. I came off smoking cigarettes, and when I did that, I decided to go full clean, got healthy, started working out, started feeling better, doing positive things, going out, going hiking. But I did it all too quick. I took away the caffeine, the sugar, the nicotine too quickly from my body, and it really kind of messed me up in a way that, you know, I had to go see the doctor. I told him I'm hurting, my brain's hurting, like bad things are happening inside of me. And he told me, he said, listen, we got to get you on some high blood pressure medicine ASAP, because this spiked your blood pressure. We're going to put you on some anti-anxiety medication, which we're going to slowly have to put you on, and don't come off of this quickly, or that you could be thinking suicidal thoughts, you could be doing. And right then I stopped him and I said, listen, man, you don't know me. I said, I'm trying to clean up my life. I said, I just came off a bunch of drugs. I'm not trying to get back on a bunch of drugs. And he told me, he said, well, I said, I've been looking at something. I said, for you? I said, I got something. And as soon as he said that he had something new and that was kind of experimental, and he said, I want you to do, you got to do this, you got to do some exercising every day. I want you to eat right, and you got to start meditating. Once you start meditating, when you get home, what you're just trying to do is mindfulness meditation. Now, this was years ago when mindfulness, nobody even really knew what that stuff was. And that was my first introduction to meditation. And I have to say, like I said, I'm not sponsored by anything when I tell you it's meditation and mindfulness. Mindfulness ain't paying nothing. Honest truth, honest God's truth. It saved my life. I started working out again. My brain felt like somebody was inside there destroying me with that post-acute withdrawal syndrome. Couldn't take anything. But when I chilled and I was just sitting here and just relaxing the brain, mindfulness, and I was disengaging and just, it felt so good. I wasn't on anything. I just suddenly wasn't, whatever was happening, I was learning to do some good meditation, some mindfulness, and it was working. As a scientist, it takes a lot for me to say something there. I know that's there. There's science saying there is now, but back then it wasn't as much. I'll say that. And it was all, this works for some, doesn't work for others. How are we supposed to prescribe this? And so for me, it worked. And years later, I was doing some consciousness research, working in tools and a bunch of other stuff. And there was a scientist that came up, Itzhak Bentov. In fact, I was working with a bunch of people about his engineering work. He was kind of known as the plumber, and he had a very unique and interesting way of blending science and mysticism, and I kind of like that. It was kind of like storytelling, but he blended it so well with science. I wish there was more of that. It explained things to me a little bit better. It opened my eye on a lens at that point. So that's where Itzhak Bentov came in. That's why I do the meditation even to this day. The guy's been dead for like 40 and 50 years, something like that. So yeah, believe in it. That and, just having a positive outlook in life, trying to stay positive, trying to help people, do what you can when you can for others, because life needs it more than anything right now. I think there's a lot of heart that just needs to be shown. It needs to shine. Everybody's got it. Some people are afraid to show it. Some people are afraid for this and that. And I like to do these positive vibe sessions. I think that, like I said, if I can just get through to one or two people, help them have a positive day. Or maybe reach out to that person that was thinking about meditation and says, well, shit, if he's doing it or he's trying something, we're going to try something here. And for 2026, try meditation. Don't need to go to a gym, don't need to go anywhere, don't need to lift anything. Do a little stretch, do a little mindfulness meditation. Try that. Pick up a book. I got an ebook down below. I got a lot of things on my channel that, that might help, that are, for the most part free. So even if I don't sell this to sell myself, if you can find peace, love, respect, if you can find some meditation in your life, or you can find a way to be enlightened and get up that hill, share it with us. This is a community. Help. There's always great ways. I do say this about my channel when I come on the channel, and I have to say this after saying that, is because a lot of people like to bring in religion. A lot of people like to talk about politics nowadays, and I try to separate those two. I will give my opinion about some things and my input about some things, because obviously I get asked about that. But when I'm doing a positive vibe meditation session, it's respectful for me anyways if you can leave those things out if I request it. And that's really what I do in a session like this. I'm really trying to put us all together again. And I find that some of those things kind of divide us. And, our needs, our wants, our thoughts are different. We are different, and the respect for that difference, and the respect to still try to bring us all together for love and positivity. I think that's the right way. That's the move. That's the right play in 2026. It's got to start somewhere. This is my 2 cents, putting it out there. I'm going to go to work today. I'm going to try to help change a few people's lives. That's what I can do. I'm not, I live a very humble life. That's about the best way I can say I live poor. But I'm happy. And I think that's important. I think you need to find your happiness wherever you are in life. I think that's way more important. So hopefully you guys got this today. Hopefully you appreciate the channel. I appreciate all you guys coming in. Quick meditation, positive vibe session. Just let you know there are people out there still trying to stay positive, having positive attitudes, living life. Life's not always about bad crap people doing bad things out there. There are good people trying to do good stuff. It's unfortunate that sometimes a bad batch of people can ruin a lot of stuff for a lot of good people. That is the way. But it gives us a chance. It gives us a chance to learn, love, respect different people for different reasons. So I'm going to wrap up this live session with that today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you liked, hit that like. I'm going to try to post this up, replay later, whatever. I'm still new, still starting out, so I could use as much love and support as I can. But I appreciate you guys all, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Go out there and get it.